Hello, Seattle. Today we're going to be breaking down Cole Young and why the Mariners won't and shouldn't add second base help for 2026. So we've got 92 days till opening day, 71 till the World Baseball Classic, 58 till spring training games, 49 till pitchers and catchers report. And yesterday, The Athletic put out an article by Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon, and I'm going to read you the direct excerpt before we get into the breakdown of Cole Young. Mariners banking on Young. As written previously, the defensive versatility of Donovan makes him a better fit. Brendan Donovan makes him better fit with the Mariners than Marte. One reason Mariners are wary of tying up second base with Marte, who's played that position almost exclusively the past 4 seasons, when they remain high on Cole Young. It's not just the Mariners who like Young either. One rival executive describes Young as the league model darling right now, pointing out that analytically based projection systems value him more highly than scouts do. Young, whom the Mariners selected 21st overall out of North Allegheny High School in 2022, was not especially impressive in his major league debut, batting only .211 with .607 OPS in .257 plate appearances, but he's still only 22, and the Mariners plan to give him significant playing time next season. Any second baseman they acquire would be a complement, not a replacement. Teams place great value on young left-handed hitting middle infielders who control the strike zone. Young projects to hit right-handers well, and the models also like his defense. So if the Mariners acquire Donovan, who also bats left-handed, he would likely get the majority of his playing time at positions other than second base. Now, my thoughts on this: I agree with the Mariners. Why would you block Cole Young to go all in while ignoring how good he could be? Cole Young is under club control through 2031. So that's 6 years, matching up perfectly with the Mariners' contention window, which really relies on the big three position players they have. Julio signed through 2029 with a player option that will carry well into the 2030s. Cal signed through 2031, and then Josh Naylor signed through 2030. People hear the pitching staff: Logan Gilbert through 2027, Kirby through 2028, Miller through 2029, and say, let's go all in the next 2 years, but what about the other 3 years minimum of Julio, Cal, and Naylor? You don't just build the best roster for 1 year. This is less predictable than the NFL or the NBA. Now, I want to go back to an example: the Braves, who won in 2021 when Acuna, their best player, was injured and did so without going all in. They got great performances out of lots of homegrown players like Ian Anderson, who may not have had great careers, but came up through their organization and fit the game plan they were running. Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies were all still young, 27, 24, and 24, and under club control. Freddie Freeman walked after in free agency, but they replaced him with Matt Olson. They scraped together an offense and had Max Fried and rode Ian Anderson's pitching with Charlie Morton as an ace, then a mix and match bullpen that turned it on down the stretch. In the NFL, rookie contracts are the foundation of the team. The MLB is even less predictable, and club control should be even more important. In this scenario, all in is overrated, and that's why I don't think the Mariners should be going all in. However, they did make a couple moves that went all in. The all-in moves that made this window exist were re-signing Naylor and trading for Jose Ferrer. I know, you wanted an all-star, but I want to win and win for a long time. Jared Dipoto can be here for 20 years and have lots of chances at a World Series, not bet it all on 1 or 2 innings. Now, we're going to get into the actual breakdown of Cole Young, but I wanted to go through that, talk about why the Mariners don't look at this as, oh, we need to go improve second base because Cole Young is this gaping hole, and I mean, it's easy to look at Fangraphs, Baseball Reference, Baseball Savant, and go and point all the negatives about Cole Young's profile. But let's look at the case for and the case against. He's 22 years old. He has top 100 prospect pedigree. He was unlucky last year at the plate with a .247 BABIP, batting average on balls in play. That low, that's bad luck. He's under club control till 2031. Now, the plate approach is as advanced as you'll see at this age and gives him all-star upside. This is kind of what made him a top 100 prospect in the first place. And just in his first season in the big leagues, a 10.9% walk rate, 18.3% strikeout rate, which is 75th percentile-ish. That walk rate is around the 60th, 70th percentile as well. Then a 30.6% pull air rate. That's second on the Mariners behind Cal Raleigh. There's an article in Heavy.com that mentioned that, which is shout out to them. This is good stuff. This is exactly what you want to see from a young hitter, not just a high batting average. Positive pitch values against splitters, sliders, curveballs, and knuckle curves. So a lot of these pitches that were the toughest for the Mariners to deal with as a team overall, Cole Young had positive pitch values against those pitches, meaning he was hitting those types of pitches extremely well. That's not normal for a 22-year-old. He had 59th percentile sprint speed. He's, an above average base runner. He's also clutch, a .316 batting average in the ninth inning this year. And his advanced approach gives him this type of chance. He's not a guy who you can necessarily put in one reliever that's going to get Cole Young out. He's pretty good against both sides of the plate. He's not a guy who you can counter that easily, especially if he gets hot and turns it on. The case against is that, it's really rides on, let's go acquire an all-star at this position to go all in and win now. Ketel Marte and Brendan Donovan have been all-stars in the past, but Young hasn't shown that yet. But, and this is one of my favorite phrases when analyzing baseball, past results do not predict future performance. I know Ketel Marte and Brendan Donovan are better. Oh, Brendan Donovan, I mean. But you know what I mean. These guys have been better in the past. It doesn't mean that they're going to be better in the future. And I mean, they probably will be better, but it doesn't mean that it's worth giving up all these different players to go get these guys instead of Cole Young. Cole Young had low expected stats last year at the plate, but he was a 22-year-old getting his feet wet. And he struggled in the second half last year, but he got replaced by Polanco once his stats dipped, rather than given a chance to rebound. So as soon as his stats dipped to that 211 mark, really, he was hitting 250 for a while. He was hot. He was seeing the ball well. And then, his stats dipped. He wasn't given a chance to rebound. They just slotted Polanco in because they needed to win now, which makes sense. Now, Polanco is making $20 million a year, and Cole Young still has 6 years for the Mariners to get a whole lot out of him without having to do anything. His fielding was poor by metrics. He was one of the worst second basemen in baseball if you look at defensive metrics, defensive runs saved, stuff like that. But he did have to shift from shortstop to second base to get up to the majors, and he profiles to be a solid second baseman over time. If you watch him on the eye test and look at the scouting reports, they say he'll be a rangy, solid defender for years to come. That's directly out of the scouting report. Those are the exact adjectives that they use in the scouting report on the 2024 Mariners top 30 prospects list, which he was number 1 on. Now, a full offseason plus Perry Hill, the Mariners infield coach, can quickly turn him around from a minus to a plus. And the M's are betting on it. So, I mean, if the Mariners tell you that they're willing to bet on this with how much they have riding on the line, I mean, you might want to trust them. This isn't, they're not saying, hey, we just couldn't re-sign Naylor. Hey, we couldn't go get one of these big name free agent hitters. They're saying that we actually think that this guy is pretty good. He might not hit 20 homers this year, and his approach doesn't really lend itself heavily to that. His approach is more about, don't strike out, walk a whole lot, hit the ball to all fields. And the homers will come, especially in his scouting report. It says as he adds strength over time, those homers will come. But he did hit, I think, the Mariners' longest home run of the season in a game. Initially estimated at 470, ended up being 456 feet. So there is some power in that left-handed swing, and it might not be unlocked this year, but the approach is good enough where he's going to be a great plate presence regardless. And those homers are going to come at some point down these next 6 years. We have the Mariners have a lefty-heavy lineup, and Donovan is a lefty too, as lots of second basemen are. You think about, Robinson Cano, right? A lot of second basemen are lefties. Marte is a switch hitter, and that's a big part of his advantage in this whole conversation and why he's so good, probably the best second baseman offensively in baseball. That's kind of one of the big advantages is you're paying for a switch hitter in Marte. But the problem is the Mariners would have to pay with prospects who are going to keep that window that we talked about open. Without, if you don't trade them, they're going to keep that window open. They're going to help you cope with, potentially losing a Kirby to free agency or even a Logan Gilbert, God forbid. Then he had low pitch values against fastballs, cutters, sinkers, and changeups. And in 257 plate appearances, the fastball one is like, okay, so he's really good against splitters, sliders, curveballs, knuckle curves, and then, he can't see a four-seam fastball. I'm a little bit skeptical of that. Then, sinkers, cutters, just all types of fastballs seem to get by him. That's just a tough adjustment from a guy who's a high school hitter, going through the minors, doing pretty well, and then gets to the major league level. And changeups as well. I just would give it longer than 257 plate appearances for that to normalize. And I know I'm being pretty optimistic, maybe, a little bit unfair. You could look at it that way, but I think I'm looking at this the way that you would look at a young player, a guy who's 22 years old. I know I'm older than 22. Most of you guys are going to be older than 22. Think about where you were at. For me, that was 5 years ago. I'm 27 now. Think about all the differences you've made over the course of your 20s. And baseball players, it's the exact same thing. You see Julio have, in his young 20s, have really poor first halves, then be an MVP candidate in the second half, basically every season of his career till now. And he's on a Hall of Fame track because of it. So with these guys in the 20s, you don't want to necessarily replace them with guys who are about to be 30 or in their 30s just because they're more dependable. When you have Jorge Polanco on your team and the coaches are getting him so right that, you can't take him out of the lineup, that's one thing. But when you've got a Cole Young just waiting to be unlocked, you take advantage of it. And there's a reason that, important quotes that we look at from this Athletic article and from the scouting report. He's the league model darling right now. That's something that I do want to look further into. I've seen some articles out there, kind of mocking the whole league model darling thing as if it's like, oh, this might, like, we don't care about models. We care about winning now, right? Well, using the league models and being, getting the league model darlings is the way that you win next year. Because again, back to this quote, past results do not predict future performance. Young projects to hit right-handers well, and the models also like his defense. That's exactly what we need from him. We have a couple other second basemen that can swing that righty. Leo Rivas, a switch hitter, can step in there to pinch hit for Cole Young in certain situations. And you also have Ryan Bliss, who could be up for Tacoma. Definitely will at some point in the 2026 season. You don't know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's not even fully healthy yet. But you look at this, and it's... I remember Ryan Divish went on Marine Layer last week, and he said, yeah, it was kind of brutal. Kind of brutal how much the Mariners made Cole Young hit against lefties in 2025 as a rookie. That it was kind of just a tough, like a learning curve for a rookie, and the Mariners were leaving him out there to figure it out, which I think speaks more to the confidence they have in him than him being incapable in any sort of way. And he kind of hit both sides of the plate pretty well. If you look at his baseball savant and look at his splits, it was, kind of even from both sides. Not exactly great stats against either side, but 220 average against lefties, 207 against righties. So not a big dip there. And with his balanced approach, everything, he's showing a good ability. It would make sense that he was that type of guy. Now, from the scouting report, and this is a little old, but this is who he was looked at as a player. Young has shown an exciting ability to hit the ball hard to all fields from the left side of the plate. Now, hitting the ball hard to all fields, having a really good eye, having a really good ability to walk and not strike out, that sounds like an Edgar Martinez favorite. And Jorge Polanco was in the doghouse last offseason, ladies and gentlemen. This guy, Jorge Polanco was somebody that Mariners fans hated re-signing. But the Mariners did it anyway because Edgar Martinez was leading this hitting department, said, no, we can work with him. And work with him they did. They got him a $20 million deal. It completely changed who he was. The highest drop in strikeout rate over the course of one season to the next in Major League Baseball history. So with Edgar, I would give Edgar Martinez a year at least to work with him. At least give him until the deadline. Before you go out trading for Ketel Marte or Brendan Donovan. Both of those two teams, the Arizona Diamondbacks and St. Louis Cardinals, probably going to be out of it by the time the trade deadline rolls around, and these guys might get moved. So if you really have to, I think you get a better value then, and those two teams might even want Cole Young at that point, which doesn't sound like they did this offseason, but really it would have to be like a 1-for-1 with some other pieces on top. Like a Cole Young is the big piece in either of these trades, which is what I said last week too. And you throw some other icing on the cake, but you're not going to, I don't think you should trade George Kirby for Ketel Marte. I don't think you should build a package for Brendan Donovan around, Bryce Miller. I just don't think that helps the window stay open longer or even increases the Mariners' chances of winning this season. And you see how close you can get and still lose this, in any given season. So you don't want to bet too much on that one season, and you want to keep building the long game, with a solid foundation, and then give yourself as many bites at the apple as you can to get to the pinnacle. Anyway, in conclusion, it's not hard to see him breaking out. He already did in the minors beyond his draft position, and he's extremely modern as a player. This is the modern profile, the modern approach. Edgar Martinez loves it, and I think Edgar Martinez is making... if he fixes Cole Young this year, is he one of the best hitting coaches in baseball, if he's not already? Along with, shout out Kevin Seitzer, Bobby Magallanes. These guys last year turned it around for Jorge Polanco. That up-the-middle approach, that's really is the way that you hit. And there was, I forget who it was, somebody talked about Hank Aaron's approach and said, this is the way to do it. You're looking for something that, anything in, you're looking for a way to pull it, and anything that's, outside, you're looking to hit it up the middle, or, fight it off into the other field. The obvious numbers on Baseball Reference, Fangraphs, and Savant don't necessarily do him justice, and if they did, then they would not pay scouting departments so much in the MLB. There would not be all these people analyzing analytics every day. The Mariners are trusting him, and I see it. I see why. I like the decision. And again, I just wanted to say, don't forget that homer that he hit. Despite not having the most power, right? Maybe not even going to hit 20 homers this year. Don't forget that homer that was 456 feet. That's not someone you want to replace at 22 years old. Now, I want to finish out saying it is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everyone. And remember, 1-0 every pitch mindset. Stay stoic and give all the glory back to God. And you can't lose. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys after Christmas, the end of the week, on Friday, Boxing Day. And go M's.